Hi, Matt with etrailer. If you're a big fan of your RucRak, but you just wish it was a little bit more mobile so you can take from point A to point B, then the RucRak Wagon Accessory Kit is going to be a great option to take with you. Now, your RucRak Recruit is already pretty adaptable and it can do a lot of things, especially with how it's going to work on the back of your vehicle. Now, with this kit we have today, it's just going to make it a little bit more adaptable so it can work in more cases. So what's nice about this is you're essentially getting the ability to make this more mobile. So if you plan on taking any trips, either to the beach or to the campground, this is going to be a great way so you don't have to go constantly back to your vehicle so you have to grab your equipment. And really with these tires and the way they're designed, they're going to be able to go over most terrains, whether that be sand, dirt, or grass. We threw some things back here just kind of simulate what this might be like to actually use. So right now we got 3 camping chairs, we got a sleeping bag, and we got our cooler. And if I tried doing this by myself without the wagon, then trying to carry all this from point A to point B is going to be pretty difficult. On top of this, that's going to save you a whole lot of time, especially if you're pretty far away from the campground or from the beach. That's another thing to think about too, is maybe you're arriving somewhere pretty late and you don't have very much time to get set up. This is really going to save you a lot of time. Another thing to consider when you're moving this is it's going to have a pretty high turn radius. We're going to be able to turn this by about 90 degrees. And see, we're just making a complete circle right now. And part of the reason why it's able to do that is just because how lightweight this is to maneuver. To really show you what I mean is I just come over here, I can pick up the whole thing pretty easy. That's going to be because of its construction. So not only will the carrier itself be made of aluminum, but so will the handle and the axles on the bottom too. And moving over to the wheels themselves, you'll notice we don't have a whole lot of tread on these. And this is going to be more of a pneumatic balloon beach wheel. And what's great about this is we're getting a larger footprint, and since we don't have too much tread on this, this is going to allow it to glide over sand a lot easier. One of the biggest benefits of this is you can still attach it to the base of your RucRak without removing the wheels. So if I just put that back on here, you notice this is going to go back on. Doesn't take too long to do it all. You just got to make sure you secure it back down into place. It will have some latches to do that, and then some additional pins to help support it too. Now, something I did notice is sometimes you'll still get a little bit of rattling occurring with this compared to what it's like before, but it does still feel pretty sturdy. So I'd still trust it with my equipment back here. And we're going to have this optional bracket to mount your handle. The reason why I say it is optional because it can block you from using specific things with your kit. So to really show you what I mean is I want to flip this 180 degrees. You'll notice on the back side right over here, we're going to have this stop into place. The reason why this is stopping right now is what's happening on one side is we're making contact with this bracket right here. Or in some cases, you're going to make contact with the handle, but either way, it's not going to let you store it in this position. But to be fair, I honestly wouldn't use this position too often. You can't mount too many things like this. So you're better off just leaving it like this and using the wheels. But we can fold it up into that stowed position in the upright. And I just need to make sure I put on these little hand knobs to hold it down. So in some cases, you might not have very much clearance and it might make contact with something. So what you can do in those situations is actually change where these wheels are sitting, or at least the front ones, especially since this does kind of pivot some. All you have to do to remove these is pull this little safety clip at the very end. This can be a little bit tricky to grab if you didn't place it in a good spot like me. There we go. Now just pull that off and then flip around so it sits like this. Now, something else to think about is maybe even removing them completely. So you can see that's going to sit a lot further away from your vehicle. But if the backside's going to make contact anyways, I'd recommend just removing this completely. As you can see, it doesn't take very much time to really take on and off. The backside's going to be a very similar process, only this time we're going to have 2 pins that you just pull out, and you can take this off now. I took off all those extra pieces we have, and the only pieces left on there are just gonna be the brackets actually installed on here. The reason why you might want to consider that is if you just kind of want to reduce any rattling. I think in most cases you're probably not going to hear it, but it is something to consider if you don't want to hear it at all. Now we did just get done driving around with this, and one thing to note is when you are driving, you want to make sure it's in this position where you have the front axle 180 degrees away, and then the rear axle is going to be shifted 90 degrees to the side. Now a couple of things we did notice when driving around was this can be a little bit noisy if you're going over big bumps. Other than that, I didn't notice it too much, but when we took it out on the test course, hitting those big bumps, not only could I hear it, but I could kind of feel it a little bit too. But this is just a look at the RucRak Wagon Accessory Kit. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.